game, Akion.
Just continue from our heritage. Let's go with the lesson too.
Con.
Jeremiah.
If brothers can check the feed, make sure that we are in there. I know.
What page? Is it your page?
Con.
Maybe turn down that a little bit.
Yeah, they jump.
Good, bro.
Alright, Shalom.
Shalom.
First and foremost, we want to give all praises, honor, and glory to
Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Makakwadash.
double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well and teach well, and peace and blessings to the elect out there that's pushing this word in all truth and sincerity. And this lesson, as you see, it's called To the Israelites Scattered Abroad, because, hey, we got Israelites scattered abroad. And, Lord willing, this message goes out and wakes up, the elect of Israel and the 1/3 of Israel that's scattered amongst these heathen nations, whose line really goes back to Israel, the so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans. But without further ado, we're going to jump right into the scriptures. We got that, James.
Come. This is the book of James, chapter 1, verse 1. James, a servant of the Most High and of the Lord Yahweh Shai HaMashiach, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad, greeting.
Yeah, because this word is specifically for Israelites, all right? That's why in the New Testament, and especially right there in James 1:1, it's a direct message to the scattered of the 12 tribes of Israel, because it was prophesied that Israel was going to be scattered, You got that, Deuteronomy.
This is Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 64. And the Lord shall scatter thee among our people, from the one end of the earth even to the other, and there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone.
Yeah, because Israel went off as a nation. They started going after other gods and mingling themselves with the heathen nations and going after their customs, thus becoming Gentiles. Even though their line went back to Israel, they started practicing these heathen or Gentile customs, making them a Gentile and making them an Israelite in a Gentile state of mind. That's why in the New Testament, whenever you read Gentile or Greek, it's referring to Israelites that were in a Greek state of mind or a Gentile state of mind.
I appreciate that, Lord. It's 1 Corinthians 12, I'm going to start at 1. Now concerning spiritual gifts, brethren, I will not have you ignorant. You know that you were Gentiles carried away unto these dumb idols, even as you were led.
Yeah, because the Apostle Paul was saying, hey, you were once Gentiles, talking to Israelites. How were Israelites once Gentiles? Because they were going into the Gentile state of mind, carried away unto dumb idols. All right, not following Yahweh Bashem Shai.
Boy, that's on another quick one.
Yeah, go ahead.
This I'm gonna read John 35 in the King James. Which the translations. John 7:35. John 7:35. Then said the Jews among themselves, whither will he go that we should not find him? Will he go unto the dispersed among the Gentiles and teach the Gentiles?
Yeah, are you in the blue letter?
Yeah, the blue letter. Yep. Then I'm gonna read it in the NIV. It said the Jews said to one another, "What does this man intend to go that we cannot find him? Will he go where our people live, scatter among the Greeks, and teach the Greeks?"
Yeah, so there you have it. The Israelites back then, the Jews back then knew that their people were scattered into these other nations, but they thought that they were lost and, done away with because they were living these heathenistic lifestyles. So they thought that they were, castaways. But, it's prophesied throughout the scriptures that the Lord is going to gather his people from the four corners of the earth.
Yeah, I got that precept. It said actually in Ezekiel, the precepts about us becoming scattered, all right, is all throughout the scriptures. The narrative of what happened to the Israelites is all throughout the scriptures. But when you're dealing with Christians, they negate the Old Testament. You know, they take away the Old Testament for the most part. And then when they get into the New Testament, they want to get into the narrative, but they don't know the history, so they don't understand the mystery. So this is Ezekiel, all right? Because you have to deal with the prophecies, as it says in Revelation 19 and 10. The testimony of Yahweh Shai is the spirit of prophecy. Ezekiel 28 and 25. Thus said the Lord Yahweh power, when I shall have gathered the house of Israel from the people among whom they are scattered. Who scattered them among these people? The Lord. Going back to Deuteronomy, what the brother Zaab had Korah bring out in the beginning, you know, we will be scattered. That's part of the curse, right? And shall be sanctified in them in the sight of the heathen. Okay, so the Lord said he's going to call us back and make us pure, make us sacred, make us a special people unto him again. All right, in the sight of the heathen. Then shall they dwell in the land that I have given them to my servant Jacob. You know? You got that Tobit.
This is the book of Tobit, chapter 3. It started verse 4.
Yeah, 4.
Verse 4, come.
You got it, Zah.
For they obeyed not thy commandments, wherefore thou hast delivered us for a spoil, and unto captivity, and unto death, and for a proverb of reproach to all the nations among whom we are dispersed.
Right, and that goes back to Deuteronomy 28. If we were not to hearken to the Lord, then all these curses shall come upon us. And that was just a quick breakdown of Deuteronomy 28, verse 15 down to 68. You know, that we're going to be a spoil to these other nations, and we're going to be cast away. But keep reading.
Jump to verse 13.
You can read verse 5.
Verse 5.
I want to expound on point 2. It say, and for a proverb of reproach. When you go into a proverb of reproach, it basically means like a laughing stock and worthless. You know, that's what the Lord done to us for not hearkening to his word. He made us a worthless people. You know, and that was also a part of. He said he will make the name of Israel to cease from among men. If a brother can scripture search that, he said the name of Israel to cease from among men. Okay. It says, and for a proverb of reproach to all the nations among whom we are dispersed. Okay. So the mystery of the Gentiles, when you sum it all up, is that we are dispersed amongst all these nations, and we have been dispersed because this is the time of Tobit. Okay. So this is thousands of years ago. So even from that time, we were scattered amongst nations. Even before Tobit, we were scattered amongst these different nations. So how much more now? And what will we look like from that time until now? Like every nation under the sun. You know?
Oh, yeah, because what was that? When the northern tribe, the Assyrian captivity, when they brought the Assyrians deliberately brought the northern tribe out of their land and put, you know, the Assyrians, they put their own people in that land, you know, deliberately to cause confusion, to break up the 12.
Divide and conquer.
Yeah, divide and conquer. And, you know, they set up, you know, make it illegal for us to practice, you know, our customs, to make us lose our heritage, especially in the time of Maccabees, which I have pulled up. This is 1 Maccabees 1 and 11. It says, in those days went there out of Israel wicked men, who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us. For since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow. You know, because, hey, they were catching hell trying to keep, you know, the Passover and you know, go to, the Sabbaths. Because, you know, that was during the time of Maccabees when they started switching up times and customs, made it illegal for them to go into temple. You know, they made it to where they had to sacrifice abominable animals, so on and so forth. And then verse 12, so this advice pleased them well. Then certain of the people were so forward herein that they went to the king and gave them license to do after the ordinances of the heathen, whereupon they built a place of exercise at Jerusalem according to the customs of the heathen, and made themselves uncircumcised, and forsook the holy covenant.
So they were on Helen. They were getting Hellenized, basically, man. You know.
And it says, and joined themselves to the heathen, and were sold to do mischief. You know,
Yeah,
they
that-
sold out.
Yeah, I was gonna say we brought up 1 Corinthians 12:2. You were laid away with dumb idols. So we became Gentiles, man. You know, but basically Gentiles, those uncircumcised, without the law, man, we became like beasts, man. You know, you got to know us like.
Yeah, and you know, throughout the New Testament, that's why it says there's no difference between Jew or Greek, because those Greek were actually Jews.
That's right.
They just, you know, adopted that Greek lifestyle. You know, so modern day Greek would be likened unto calling yourself American. I mean, really anything under the sun.
Yeah.
If you just call yourself Chinese, Vietnamese, Indian,
Hispanic,
Hispanic.
Native American.
Yeah.
Man.
Yep.
El Salvadorian, like, you know, as long as it's not Israel, then you're in a Gentile state of mind.
Yeah.
You know, and we're putting this message out to, you know, repent from that mindset. You're an Israelite. You're a nation that's supposed to rule over all nations. You know.
This 2 Maccabees 6. Not long after this, the king sent. Was you done?
Yeah, that is it.
Salaki. Not long after this, the king sent an old man of Athens to compel the Jews to depart from the laws of their fathers and not to live after the laws of God. That's what makes you a heathen. Okay? What makes you a heathen is when you don't keep the laws, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Shem Yahushua as he has commanded and gave unto you, being you so-called, being you Israelites, okay? But for the most part, like we go into, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, man. Okay? That's the basis, all right? That's the basis, but it's not solely confined to just Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, and Hispanics, because those are not nations, but those are who Israelites are identified as today most commonly, okay? Now you can be having the appearance of a Chinese man, appearance of a so-called white man, or the appearance of a so-called Japanese. You can have the appearance of any nation on the planet. That appearance doesn't determine your nationality, pertaining to John 7:24. All right? Judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment. So we judge according to the spirit, okay? Because when the brother brought out, what was that, 1 Corinthians 12, Apostle Paul said, I would not have you ignorant concerning spiritual gifts. Okay? It's about the spiritual gift that was given to the Israelites that identify us as Israelites, not the flesh.
That's why I said the spirit bear witness with our spirit.
Right.
You see? And I had a precept real quick to back you up on that. This,
And the spiritual gifts, real quick before you get there, is talking about the laws, statutes, and commandments. That's our spiritual power. If you're not able to come to terms with the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Heavenly Father, you're not an Israelite. You know? Or either you are not of the elect. Okay? Because you can still be an Israelite and just be a damn wicked. You know what I'm saying?
Ignorant.
You can still be ignorant.
in a dead state.
In a dead
Proverbs,
state.
21:16. Man, the one others, when I grab it, but I'm gonna back you up. This Psalm 73:22. So foolish was I and ignorant. I was as a beast before thee. Going to 1 Corinthians 12, man. We became like brute beasts, man. You know? Because these heathens, they are like beasts, man. They don't have the law. Because the law was keeping you in order, basically, man.
Yep.
You know?
And then you had these heathens, all right, the Greeks, which started with Alexander, all right, Philip the Macedonian and Alexander, all right, which are Edomites, okay. When you go into their empires, going into the Seleucids and the Ptolemies, specifically the Seleucids, all right, they Hellenized the hell out of the Jews, man. this what this account in 2 Maccabees 6 is dealing with, man. Okay? How they Hellenized and forced us from keeping our laws, statutes, and commandments. They forced us not to keep our traditions and our heritage. All right?
Hey, the first Maccabees, the first chapter, man. Let's say there was not consent unto the king's laws, they should be put to death. You circumcise the baby, put them to death. They what they say, they hang out infants by their necks and so on, man. They call out women keeping the laws, statutes, commandments, basically, man.
Yep.
We were put to death for keeping our laws, man. So that we were forced, we were Hellenized, man. What is that? Greek speaking Jew, man, I believe, man.
I'm gonna jump down in 2 Maccabees 6. I'm gonna read verse 3. It says, the coming in of this mischief was sore and grievous to the people, for the temple was filled with riot and reveling by the Gentiles, meaning the natural Gentiles, who dallied with harlots and had to do with women within the circuit of the holy places, and besides that brought in things that were not lawful. You know, so all the things that we do against the commandments of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, we learn from the other nations for the most part. You know, it says the altar also was filled with profane things which the law forbidded. Neither was it lawful for a man, this is the point, to keep Sabbath days or ancient fasts or to profess himself at all to be a Jew. Now this is the history. See, this is the history is what happened to us and how we became Gentiles. Because like I said, it read in verse 4 what the natural Gentiles were doing in our temples. Those natural Gentiles took over our estates and took over Jerusalem and took over the temple, and they started doing all the profane things, man, and forced us to do what they do. Like, nah, y'all ain't gonna come in here and give oblations and set up sweet savors and do the Levitical laws in this temple. Y'all gonna do, we gonna take over your temple, and we gonna dance and you know, commit all kind of abominations in here, and you gonna do it too. You gonna get down and lay down. You know, it said it was sore unto us. So that's you know, a little taste of the history, man. But you got it, those are.
This is Psalm 83 and 4. They have said, "Come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance." And you know, they do that today. You know, we go out and, you know, prophesy the downfall of America, and we talk about the customs and law, statutes, and commandments of, you know, what's said in the scriptures, how people should conduct themselves. You know, that homosexuality is wrong. Not everybody can be saved. You know, it's only for Israel. And what do these heathens try to do? Oh no, that's not what the Bible's talking about. That's not what that means. You know, they set up these churches, you know, going after their own doctrines to try to include themselves into salvation. You know? And
they set up 501c3s.
Yeah, 501c3 charter. That's like the modern day ordinances from, you know, in the time of Maccabees back then. You know? You can't set up churches unless you prescribe to that 501c3 charter, which, you know, dictates on what you can and cannot say in your church house.
Gag order.
Yeah, gag order.
Yeah. You can't speak about Esau being, you know, the white man being Esau, the Edomite. The Edomites going to slavery. Their America getting destroyed. That the Lord is a so-called black man. You know,
yeah,
you can't speak about prophecy basically. The mark of the beast, Jacob Cho, bad time. You know,
you have to prophesy unto them smooth things.
Yep. Yeah.
This is Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 26. I said I will scatter them into corners, and I will make the remembrance of them to cease from among men.
Yep. Yeah, because that's really going to disperse, you know.
Being discontinued from our heritage.
Discontinued from our heritage. Because disperse, going to dissipate, basically, man. You really think about it, you see?
I got one. It's on Deuteronomy 28:64. And the Lord Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai shall scatter thee among all people from the one end of the earth even unto the other, and there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone.
Hey, can I back you up? It's Deuteronomy 30:1. And it should come to pass when all these things shall come upon thee, the blessing and the curse, which I have set before thee, and thou shalt call them to mind all the nations, whether the Lord that power had driven thee. You see?
Yeah, come, because we always say Deuteronomy 28 is that heavyweight champion to identify an Israelite. If you're under the curses of Deuteronomy 28, hey, you're an Israelite. You know, because it's prophesied that those curses were going to come upon us if we didn't hearken. So if you're not hearkening to Yahweh Shema Shai and you're cursed, you're an Israelite. If you're not hearkening to Yahweh Shema Shai and you got carnal blessings, hey, you're not an Israelite. This ain't for you. Go click on another video. Hey, but if you're cursed, man, you're looking for a way out of, you know, your certain predicaments, you know, you're always broke, always behind on bills, you know, always fighting with your own family members. Hey, those are curses of Israelites for you know, as a punishment for not hearkening unto Yahweh Shema Shai. And we're calling you to repentance, to start keeping the law, statutes, and commandments.
I got a precept off the comment board too, back. You was gonna get one too.
No, we're gonna finish it.
Go ahead, go finish it.
Deuteronomy 30:2, and shall return unto the Lord that power, and shall obey his voice according to all that I command thee this day, and thou and thy children with all their heart and with all their soul, that then the Lord that power will turn thy captivity and have compassion upon thee, and will return and gather thee from all the nations, whether the Lord that power has scattered thee. He said, they say from all the nations, man. Okay, you got Israel and Brazil, China, Asia, Russia, Australia, you know, Europe, you know, Africa, Libya. Israel been scattered amongst all the nations. That's why the Lord said, go and teach all people, all nations. You know? You gotta.
This from GMS Memphis, Yakanan, Shalom, Makiam on the comment board, Yabashim Shabarakatham. And it shall come to pass when all these things are come upon thee, the blessings
I
and
just read that.
You read the whole thing?
Yeah,
you read down to verse 3?
Yeah.
You did? Okay.
Hey, Spill, bring it out.
Bring it back out again, come. And it shall come to pass when all these things, Deuteronomy 30, verse 1 through 3, are come upon thee, the blessing and the curse which I have set before thee, and thou shalt call them to mind among all nations, whether the Lord Yahweh thy power have driven thee.
Yeah, what it says, you should call them to mind. What did Baruch say? In the land of thy captivity, you should remember yourselves, man. You see? The curse is a token of who we are today, man.
Yep.
Who had a yoke on their neck? You see? Who evil to their wife, to their father, man. Yeah.
But yeah, I was gonna say, you know, that's how we identify Jake today. Is, hey, we go into the history of those people, like let's say India for one. You know, you got a group of people called the Untouchables, and the doctrine that they put out on their people is, you know, you get reincarnated, you know, higher up, the more better that you do, you know. But the Untouchables, you know, they stay in a certain really ghetto. You know, they're the poorest of the poor. You know, you're not supposed to do service with them and just like treat them like shit, basically, because that's their judgment for whatever their past life is. But, you know, nevertheless, we see that they're at the bottom, you know, that they're worshiping false idols. They're at the lowest of the low. They got to be Jake. You know, you go into the history of different people, man. Cambodia, you know, they look, you know, so-called Asian, but that yet they're persecuted by people that look like themselves. You know, they got to be Jake. Why are they hated? You know, different Philippines. They're considered like the lowest of the low of, you know, the Asian world. You know, it goes Moab, which is the so-called Chinese, you know, Japanese, and then like anything considered like tan Asian, the Philippines, they're like the lowest of the low, man. You know, and then so on and so forth. You can apply it. You know, that's why we say the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, they're Israelites, because, you know, they line up right with biblical prophecy. But it applies to all the other outcasts of society scattered throughout the world, man.
Let me get this precept out. This GMS Memphis, Nabah, Jeremiah 17:4. And thou, even thyself, shalt discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee, and I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not. For ye have kindled a fire in my anger which shall burn forever. And what is that heritage that the Lord gave us? The law, statutes, and commandments, man. You know? Deuteronomy 4, real quick, explains what the Lord gave us. Deuteronomy 4 and start at 5.
Right, 4 and 5.
Yeah, come.
That's the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 4, verse 5. Behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments, even as the Lord Yahweh my power commanded me, that ye should do so in the land whither ye go to possess it.
So wherever you go, whatever land you go into, you got to keep these laws, statutes, and commandments. Keep going.
Verse 6. Keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations, which shall hear of these statutes and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people.
Yep. So wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, that was our heritage. That's what the Lord gave us. And when you read in Deuteronomy, the first part of chapter 28, 1 through 14, that's what he's telling us. If we keep these things, we were gonna be the superpowers in the earth, man. You know? But we discontinued from that heritage. And the result was, let me go back. The Lord was angry with us. You know, he turned his back on us for not hearkening and cleaving, which led to the curses. It says, for ye have kindled a fire in my anger, which shall burn forever. Verse 5. Thus said the Lord Yahweh power, cursed be the man that trusted in man and maketh flesh his arm, and whose heart departed from the Lord Yahweh. So we started trusting in these other nations, man. And by default, we became likened unto the other nations in the sight of the Lord. He looked at us just like those nations.
We look like Gentiles.
Yeah. Though we were Israelites by blood, hey, in the eyes of the Lord, we were heathens because we weren't keeping, because the Lord requires us not to just be here and, oh, you're an Israelite, you just an Israelite, you don't have nothing to do, just be an Israelite. No, you have something to uphold as being an Israelite. You have an obligation to uphold. You got it out.
Yeah, hey, then if I can make a point, he said discontinue. That really discontinue costs us something to stop. Ceasing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, hey, we brought that out.
Deuteronomy 32 and 26. That was one. There was another one too, I think Zahar brought out.
Psalms 83.
You got another one?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
This is Deuteronomy 31 and 36. If those ordinances depart from before me, said the Lord, then the seed of Israel also shall cease from being a nation before me forever.
Woo! So, and that's why this Bible had to be here. You know, that's why this ordinances go into orders. That's why these precepts, that's why this book had to be here. Okay? Because the Lord said he was not going to utterly destroy us, you know. He was going to call us back. This is the only way that we have to come back. This is the only way that we have to come back to the Lord. It's through a record being kept.
Through Yahweh Shai.
Through Yahweh Shai.
Brought back.
Through Yahweh Shai.
You know, you guys are.
Yep.
Yeah, kind of. This is something that Yahweh Shai said. This is Matthew 18 and 17. And if he neglect to hear them, tell it unto the church. But if he neglect to hear the church, let him be unto thee as an heathen man and a publican. So this was Yahweh Shai talking, you know, because he told us to go and preach this word, you know, to Israelites scattered abroad. But if they aren't getting it, they neglect to hear, hey, cast them away as a heathen, you know. And that goes for, you know, even these Israelite foreigners. If they're not getting it, hey, let them be whatever they want or trying to get into. Because you're going to have, let's say an Israelite that looks like a so-called Chinese man. You tell him that he's an Israelite, but if he doesn't want to hear it, he thinks, you know, being a doctor in this society is going to get him out of the position that he's in, is going to save him. All right, go be a doctor, man. You know? At the end of the day, it's the Israelites that hearken unto the Lord, man. That's who it's about, the elect and the 1/3. That's who this is for. You know, have we brought out Tobit 13 yet?
No. Tobit 3 and 13?
13 and 3.
13 and 3, so like, okay. This is the book of Tobit, chapter 13, verse 3. And it reads, confess him before the Gentiles, ye children of Israel, for he hath scattered us among them.
That's straight to the point.
God, you can keep reading though.
And that's another thing too, because you remember you brought out what's that? John 7,
John 7:35. Yep.
The disciples was asking him, where shall he go? Where he go? Where we cannot go? Will he go to the dispersed amongst the Gentiles and teach the Gentiles? Because remember, before Yahweh Shai had given them that Holy Spirit and the understanding to deal with Gentiles, he told them not to go into the way of the Gentiles because they wasn't ready, because they didn't have that discernment. You know,
they wasn't ready yet.
They wasn't ready yet. They were disciples. They weren't apostles yet.
Yep.
Go ahead.
This is Matthew 10:5. These 12 Yahushua sent forth and commended them, saying, "Go not into the way of the Gentiles, and into any city of the Samaritans enter ye not, but go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel."
Yep.
You know, because like he said, they weren't built up to understand that there were Israelites in the cities of Samaria and in these Gentile places. But then once they were built up, hey, that's why you have letters to Romans. That's why you have the letters to Corinth. That's why you have letters to Galatia, Thessalonia, so on and so forth. Because now they understood, ever since the Acts, you read about Acts.
The unclean, the unclean animals on
the vision that Peter had.
Yeah, yep.
To eat of the swine's flesh.
Yep.
He said, "Don't call clean or don't call unclean what I have called clean."
Clean. Yep.
Talking about Cornelius.
Yep.
You know?
And that's going into the Israelite foreigners, man. You know, because they became unclean in the mind through the adoption of these different profane customs. You know, all these different acts of the other nations that they were living by. You know, being Greeks and embracing that culture, and you know, just like today, no new thing under the sun. You are unclean when you are not living by the ordinances of the law. So, for instance, like shaving your beard and eating pork and so forth and so on. It's just all the laws. When you're not living by the laws, the Lord looks at you as an unclean thing because the law purifies us. You know?
I got a piece of it back here. It's on the book of Psalms, chapter 147, verses 19 and 20. He showeth his word unto Jacob, his statutes and his judgments unto Israel. He hath not dealt so with any nation, and as for his judgments, they have not known them. Praise ye the Lord, Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai.
Yeah, that's ultimately how the Spirit beareth witness with our spirit. They can, have the faith in the Scriptures. They start understanding why the laws, statutes, and commandments in the Scriptures are the benefit, are beneficial, because the heathen, they aren't dealt with on that level. It's not for them. This Scripture isn't for them. It doesn't resonate with their spirit. But with the Israelites, they're gonna get it, man. The elect of Israel, they're gonna get it. They're gonna hearken.
That's the wild olive tree, grafted back in. Yeah. Only Israel can be grafted back in, man. Not all nations, man.
Yeah, because whenever you deal with grafting, you have to use the same plant,
That's
or
right.
You can do a skin graft.
Yeah.
If you do a skin graft, it has to be from your own body, or else you're gonna get all types of different diseases. Like for instance, I heard a story one time of a guy getting in a motorcycle accident, and whenever you skid on that concrete, you lose skin. And what happened to him is, he needed a skin graft, but what they can't come to find out, because he had a really bad infection after the skin graft happened. What they came to find out was he skid over, where a dead armadillo was. So what had happened was that armadillo skin had grown into him, and it caused an infection, and then they had to amputate his leg.
Wow.
So hey, you can't graft an unclean thing into a clean thing.
Yeah, basically, Esau can't be joined up to us, man. Chinese, Japanese. You gotta be Israelite by blood and by the spirit, man. You see?
That's dealing too with what it say, wisdom is matter of fact, I'm gonna get that. That's something we just brought out. Because remember, our heritage is the wisdom, right?
Yep.
All right, so this is Wisdom of Solomon 7:25. This wisdom purifies us. This word purifies us. It says, for she is the breath of the power of Yahweh Shai and a pure influence flowing from the glory of the Almighty. Therefore can no defiled thing fall into her. So can't nothing unclean be grafted into something that's why the unclean branches fell off. You see? So you telling me now I can just get whatever unclean branch? No, because even the Gentiles who are Israelites that come back in, they can only come back in if they're purified through this word.
That's how they get clean.
That's how they get clean.
Well, Lord, you are clean through the washing of the word. John the 15th chapter, man. You can only, so hey, you can't. That's why I say by olive tree. You know, the olive tree, you can't take a branch of an apple tree and try to join it to an olive tree. It's not gonna work, man. You know.
Yeah, I think it was the elder Malcolm. He says you can't fake Jake.
You can't fake being the Jake.
Yeah, I mean, for one, even in worldly things, what Jake does, you know, dancing, freestyling, you know, we're the salt of the earth. We got that flavor. We're the inventor of all things. You know, you can't, you know, you just on that type of discernment, you can't fake Jake. So how much more when an Israelite starts prophesying and starts getting spiritual gifts? You can't fake that. You know?
Yep. You can't fake it. Like we brought out yesterday when the woman came out. You told me, we said Diana Rose, her son Tamil.
Yeah,
Tia and Tamil and
Tracy Ellis Ross.
her. Those are chocolate Edomites, man. Like what's Lord called that fox? What's his name?
Oh, Harold.
He was, see, he looked like a Jake, he looked like a Jew, but he was a fucking Edomite, man. You see?
Yeah, a brother can also get Ezra the 9th chapter, because it goes into how Israel mingled with these other nations, and even to the extent of getting their daughters unto their sons, you know, and of course after a while, you know, Israel is going to start looking like, you know, these other nations, you know.
Hey, after you get there, let's get into this Romans 11. We'll wrap it up in Romans 11. I want to get that word graft. So when you look into that word graft, it really gives it away. Who got the Romans? Bro, who getting Romans 9?
Ezra 9 or Romans 9?
Ezra 9.
Oh, you said Ezra. I'm sorry, I don't know why I heard Romans.
Start at the top.
Yeah, kind
Come on. It's the book of Ezra, chapter 9, verse 1. Now when these things were done, the princes came to me, saying, the people of Israel and the priests and the Levites have not separated themselves from the people of the lands, doing according to their abominations, even of the Canaanites.
Going back to what we read in Deuteronomy, whithersoever thou go, keep these, in Deuteronomy 4th chapter, keep these laws, statutes, and commandments. When you go into the land to conquer the lands, or when you go into these lands, you need to keep these laws, statutes, and commandments. What they do, go ahead. He reading this is what they did though.
Even of the
what we did.
Even of the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Perizzites, the Jebusites, the Ammonites, the Moabites, the Egyptians, and the Amorites,
which are all heathen nations.
For they have taken of their daughters for themselves and for their sons, so that the holy seed have mingled themselves with the people of those lands. Yea, the hand of the princes and rulers hath been chief in this trespass.
Yeah, so what had happened was, you know, Jake got these women, you know, these heathen women, started popping them. And then whenever they had a son, they told the son to do the same thing, you know?
Yep.
And you know, it kept on going on. It said the priests and the kings, the princes were chief in this trespass. You know, so it wasn't just, you know, the lowest of the low. No, it's people in rulerships, you know?
Yeah. They were giving their daughters to those nations.
Yep. I can get something quick. This Psalms 106 and 35. But what mingle among the heathen in London Ropes.
Yeah, start up at 34.
Yeah, start up with verses.
Okay. Psalms 106 and 34. that did not destroy the nations concerning whom the Lord commanded them.
Yeah, because hey, going back to the Old Testament, every time he told Israel to go conquer a nation, he said cut them off. Don't even unto the extent of their animals, because their animals were unclean and with blotch and blemishes. But hey, Jake didn't do it. And
Saul was an example.
Saul was an example.
And then verse 36.
It said, but were mingled among the heathen and learned their works. And they served their idols which was nailed to them. I'm going to jump down 39. Thus were they defiled with their own works, and went a horn with their own inventions. Therefore was the wrath of the Lord kindled against his people, and so much that he abhorred his own inheritance. When he put them away, he forsake them for a moment.
Yep.
Lord said, with great mercy I would gather thee, man. You see, the Lord pulled us away, man. That's why Israel everywhere, man. Israel all over the place, man. They would say, try the spirit by the spirit to see that children of the Most High. The spirit bear witness with our spirit, man. It's not a flesh, it's not a black or white thing, it's not a color thing, man. It's all about your spirit at the end of the day, man. You know? Hey, that's why the Acts, the second chapter, like Acts 2 and 8. That's cutting, man. There was Israel was everywhere, man. It was a devout man under heaven, man. They was speaking their own tongues. You see, hey, you Google Acts 2 and 9, man, and go to images, man. You gonna see Israel coming from Rome, Africa, everywhere, man. Just Google Acts 2 and 9, man. You gonna see, man.
And you understand the Lord said he's going to make us small, all right, among the heathens by dividing us. Because really, you're like, well, if we are the sands of the sea, which cannot be numbered or be measured, how are we small? Because we don't have the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of ourselves to understand who we are as a people. So if I'm in a room with a group full of my brothers, but they calling themselves African American, they calling themselves Hispanic, they call themselves all these bywords and proverbs and don't understand where, hey, we really are. So there's a division. We conquer. We small among the heathen, and all these other nations are already against us. How can we win if we're not together? How can we overcome if we're not together? So that's the whole purpose of the Lord gathering us back through this word, which makes us one in mind. When we become one in mind, then we can get the kingdom back.
The elect, the house of David.
And it starts with the elect,
But that Romans 11.
That's the grafting us back in.
Yeah.
This Romans 11, and I started. Where y'all want to start at? I started 13. Yeah, this Apostle Paul said, "For I speak to you Gentiles, inasmuch as I am an apostle of the Gentiles, I magnify my office, if by any means I may provoke to emulation them which are my flesh, and might save some of them." See, he said save some of them, because not all our people are going to come back. And even in that time, it was ones that knew they was Israelites and was like, I don't give a damn, I'm a Jew, I'm a Greek now.
Yeah.
I'm you got it, huh?
Yeah, I forget his name, but it was one of Apostle Paul's scribes. I think it was Timothy. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's Timothy. I think it was his dad. He didn't.
Yeah, it's Timothy's dad.
Yeah, his dad. He knew he was an Israelite, but
yeah, he chose to. He was a Greek.
Yeah.
That because it say that it say his mother was a Jewess and his father was a Greek, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
But that didn't mean that his father was an actual Greek. It mean he was in a Greek state of mind, and he chose that. I know, because that's just like if we tell Jake, you an Israelite. Ain't no Israelite. I'm African American.
Yeah.
Okay. well, you gonna reap the judgment of an African American. You know. It say, if by any means I may provoke to emulation them which are my flesh, and might save some of them. For if the casting away of them be the reconciling of the world, what shall the receiving of them be but life from the dead?
You say reconcile, man. Join back.
Back read means again.
Again.
All right. Join back again. So you had to be joined. You had to be joined. To be joined back to something, you had to be joined to it initially. You know,
like a woman joined a divorced woman joined back to her husband.
Going back to her husband.
They reconciled.
Remarried,
man.
Yeah. We separated and then we got remarried.
Hey, this is a family thing right here,
That's
man.
what it is.
This all this family, man.
Isaiah 54 breaks it down. Matter of fact, let's get Isaiah 54 real quick and go to verse 5.
And you heathens, hey, Ezra 5:2, man. You can't build with us, man. You know?
And really, Romans 11, even after Apostle Paul goes into these sayings, he simplifies it throughout the chapter. He gonna simplify it. As it is written then, all Israel shall be, once you get to verse 26 and I believe 27 of this chapter, he gonna, as it's Israel. What I'm saying to you, if it's too hard, because he knew some of these things would be hard to be understood, you know. And Yahushua appointed him to be the apostle to the Gentiles because he had that office to be able to edify on the level, you know what I'm saying, to make it simple for Jake to understand. You got the Isaiah 54?
This is Isaiah 54 verse 5.
Mm-hmm.
For thy maker is thy husband,
Mm-hmm.
and the Lord of hosts is his name,
Mm-hmm.
and thy Redeemer, the Holy One of Israel, the power of the whole
Redeemer
earth.
means to buy back, reconcile, again, come back. Because, hey, the Lord chose us, you know. And when you go into buy, it means save. He saved us from the destruction of ourselves by giving us wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. He didn't do that with the other nations. Because without wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, all you're going to do is, without the righteous understanding of Yahweh Shem Yahshua, all you're going to do is destroy yourself. He saved us. He said, okay, I'm going to choose this people. I'm going to give them my understanding of how you are to live as an immortal. Because the law, statutes, and commandments is what's going to make us immortal. You know?
What it say, to redeem them that was under the law, being adoption. Adoption, man.
He bought us.
He bought us, man.
He bought us.
Redeemed them was under the law. Who under the law? The nation of Israel.
Yep.
You know? You
Got it out. Keep back up. Yeah, we're going to read down through verse 8.
For the Lord have called thee as a woman forsaken, and grieving in the spirit, and a wife of youth.
Called you as a woman forsaken, grieved, you know. Go ahead.
And a wife of youth, when thou wast refused, said the Lord. For a small moment have I forsaken thee, but with great mercy I will gather thee.
With great mercy will I gather thee.
Yeah, just like how you would a woman, you know, she bucks up and starts acting unruly. You're like, nah, I can't deal with you right now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but once she like humbles herself and it's like, oh, she realizes she's in the wrong, that's when, you know, you go back to her and reconcile with it. That's how the Most High is doing his nation. You know, we went off, you know, broke his commandments, was being unruly, whining and fussing.
Start being wild.
Yeah. And then he said, man, I can't deal with this nation. You know, I was a husband to him. I set them up, gave them the ordinances to make them be right, but then they still refuse. So I'm going to put them away for a moment.
Keep going out.
And in a little wrath I hid my face from thee for a moment, but with everlasting kindness will I have mercy on thee, said the Lord thy Redeemer.
The Lord thy Redeemer. All right. So he gonna have mercy and he gonna bring us back. All right. It says, so I'm gonna jump back to 11. It says, verse 11 and 15, Romans 11:15. For if the casting away of them be the reconciling of the world, what shall the receiving of them be but life from the dead? The dead are the other nations. All right, being amongst these other nations, we are amongst the congregation of the dead because they don't have that breath of life. You know, they never had it. The only ones that ever had it was us. And when we come back to it, the Lord gave it back to us. That's the reconciling, the understanding. That's us coming back in. So you can't come into this thing if you can't receive the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of the Heavenly Father. That pure influence. You see? It don't matter if you're an Israelite or not. But you definitely can't if you're not an Israelite because you never had it. You can't come back to the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding that you never had.
You can't even put your name on the paper to try out, basically.
Yeah, you can't even try out. Right, you don't meet the qualifications.
Or like an example that we always say is, what is sin? Sin is transgressing the law. So the only nation that can sin is Israel because they were given the law.
And Apostle Paul breaks this down in Romans 9, all throughout Romans, really, even in Romans 1. In Romans 9, he says, I'll get it. Romans 9, he says, I say the truth in Hamashiach, I lie not. My conscience also bearing me witness in what? The Holy Spirit. That I have great heaviness and continual sorrow in my heart, for I wish that myself were cursed from Hamashiach for my brethren, my kinsmen according to the flesh, who are Israelites, to whom, according to the flesh, they are who? Israelites. There's a semicolon after flesh, and then it says, who are Israelites? No, there's a colon after a kinsman according to the flesh, and then there's a semicolon after who are Israelites. So that means this goes with this. Can't stop. You got to keep going. To whom pertaineth the adoption, comma, and the glory, comma, and the covenants, comma, and the giving of the law, and the service of the Most High, and the promises, semicolon.
Right there, can I get this in the NLT?
Go ahead.
Cause hey, this for to break it out. The NLT verse of Romans 9:4. They are the people of Israel chosen to be God's adopted children. God, what I'm saying, the Most High revealed his glory to them. He made covenants with them and gave them his law. He gave them the privilege of worshiping him and receiving his wonderful promises.
So when a man and a woman get married, they verbally speak their contract to one another. Their vows to one another. A vow is a contract. A vow is really a verbal contract. You put it on paper, So how can anybody else outside of those two parties get involved and say, oh, I'm coming back into something that, how you gonna come back into something you were never part of? It's not possible.
Hey, read 5 when we this NLT.
Okay, it says, I finished 4. Yeah, I did finish 4. It says, verse 5, whose are the fathers, and of whom, as concerning the flesh, Christ came, or Yahweh Shah, Salaki. And it starts
They say Yahweh Shah himself was an Israelite as far as his nature is concerned, and he is the most, he is power, the one who rules over everything is worthy of eternal praise. That's a cut, man.
So it goes into who those children of the flesh are, the seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
Who can be adopted.
And it's because they'll try to say, I'm the seed of Abraham. No, not as a seed, because Abraham had many sons. Hey, and everybody ain't a seed of Abraham. And then not even all the seeds of Abraham are counted for the promise, but in Isaac shall thy seed be called.
Esau and Jacob.
Esau and Jacob. Now which one out of Esau and Jacob? Jacob.
It say Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
And he tell you that also in Sirach 44. What you got?
I got Galatians 3:16. It says, now to Abraham and his seed were the promises made. He saith not, and to seeds as of many, but as of one, and to thy seed, which is Yahweh Shai Mashiach. Because the promises were made from Abraham down to Isaac to Jacob, not to the seeds as of many. Because it's not dealing with everybody, that came out of Abraham. It's only dealing with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
Yep. Hey, jump to Galatians 4:4.
And actually what happened in the flesh is a personification of what was done in the spirit. The Most High, Yahweh Shai, and the elect, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. You see, that's what happened. You know, in the spirit, the Most High, Yahweh Shai, the elect, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob.
Oh,
That's it. You know, you got it though.
no, read that real quick.
Yeah, this is Galatians 4:4. But when the fullness of the time was come, the Most High sent forth his Son, made of a woman made under the law, to redeem them that were under the law,
To buy back those that were under the law,
that we might receive the adoption or election chosen of sons.
adopted as the sons. That's who he gave his heritage to, the adopted sons. You know, you got Sirach 44.
Con.
You know what it started around. Okay,
19.
come.
It's on Sirach chapter 44 verse 19. Abraham was a great father of many people.
Is not the Most High the father of all nations when you get through? Is he not? Did he not create all nations?
All spirits.
All, you know what I'm saying? Okay. So Abraham was a father of many nations. Okay. So let's go.
In glory was there none like unto him, who kept
Is there any glory like the Most High? No. Go ahead.
who kept the law of the Most High and was in covenant.
And don't get this twisted. I'm not saying Abraham is the Most High. All right.
Yep.
I'm not saying Abraham is the Most High. Let me break down what I'm saying. In the spirit, the Most High played it out. This is the personification of how it works in the spirit. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the Most High, Yahweh Shai, and the elect. Go ahead, bro.
Verse 20.
This
Verse 20. Who kept the law of the Most High and was in covenant with him. He established the covenant in his flesh, and when he was proved, he was found faithful. Therefore he assured him by an oath that he would bless the nations in his seed.
He will bless the nations in his seed. One seed. Go ahead.
And that he would multiply him as the dust of the earth and exalt his seed as the stars and cause them to inherit from sea to sea and from the river unto the utmost part of the land. With Isaac did he establish likewise for Abraham his father's sake the blessing of all men and the covenant.
So Abraham, Isaac. Go ahead.
Verse 23. And made it rest upon the head of Jacob.
And made it rest upon the head of Jacob. Okay? So Abraham, Isaac, unto Jacob. Not Esau. Alright?
Not Ishmael.
In the same Romans the 9th chapter, when you go down, alright, it says, for the children, I'm gonna go Romans 9:11. For the children not yet being born, having done any good or evil, that the purpose of the Most High according to election might stand, not of works, but of him that calleth. It was said unto her, the elder shall serve the younger, as is written, Jacob have I loved, but Esau have I hated. So the election rested upon the head of Jacob.
I got the account in Genesis.
Go ahead.
This is Genesis 35:10. And the Most High said unto him, Thy name is Jacob, thy name shall not be called any more Jacob, but Israel shall be thy name. And he called his name Israel. And the Most High said unto him, I am the Most High Almighty, be fruitful and multiply. A nation and a company of nations shall be of thee, and kings shall come out of thy loins. So that's where, the misconception of what these, worldly Christians think is that was, given to Abraham. But no, it's passed down from Abraham down to Isaac to Jacob. Was that that Jacob was going to be the father of nations. It says, and the land which I gave Abraham and Isaac, to thee will I give it, and to thy seed after thee will I give the land. So it was given.
So from the progenitors, from the offspring of Jacob. That's where the blessing rests. That's according to the flesh. You know, it ain't no, I'm a spiritual Israelite. You know, no, which is like an oxymoron for them to even say that, because you gotta be a spiritual Israelite and you gotta be an Israelite according to the flesh. But you can't be a spiritual Israelite if you're not an Israelite according to the flesh. You see what I'm saying? If you're not an Israelite according to the flesh, you can't be a spiritual Israelite. You can be an Israelite according to the flesh and not be a spiritual Israelite. That's why I say it's physical wheat and tares, and there's spiritual wheat and tares. Go ahead, bro.
It's Sirach chapter 44, verse 23. And made it rest upon the head of Jacob. He acknowledged him in his blessing and gave him an heritage and divided his portions. Among the 12 tribes did he part them.
To the 12 tribes scattered abroad. That's who the blessing is imparted to. Go ahead, bro.
This is Isaiah 45:4. For Jacob my servant's sake, and Israel mine elect.
Israel mine elect. So that the purpose according to election might stand. That's it, bro. That's it. We'll go back to Romans 11, and then we'll be ready to wrap it up. Brother, close it up. Yeah, get ready to get that, get ready to get this these final ones. So I left off at verse 15, picking up at 16. It says, for if the first fruit be holy, the lump also is holy. And if the root be holy, so are the branches. And if some of the branches be broken off, because at the end of the day, the Lord is going to purify the whole nation of Israel. But just in this time, it's only the elect. So none of Israel shall ultimately perish. They'll perish on this side, but they'll come back in the kingdom, because because ultimately the spirit of Israel is holy. The ultimate nation of Israel has a holy spirit, but the Lord calls basically a separation. Like, okay, these are going to be that small number of them that are going to remain holy. They're going to always come back to me. It's going to come back to their lot. And these are going to be the ones that's going to be wild and stay wild and never come back. You know? What's that song? Running wild.
Little child running wild. Curtis Mayfield.
Yeah, Curtis Mayfield. Yeah.
All Israel gonna be saved.
Yep, all Israel gonna be saved.
He said in Romans 11:1, should the Most High cast away his people? The Most High forbid.
Most High forbid. All right, so picking back up, it says, and if some of the branches be broken off, and thou, being a wild olive tree, were grafted in among them. Now, we're going to get this word graft, right? This word graft in the blue letter.
Strong's G 1461. Encantrizo.
Okay. Salaki. Here it is. It says to cut into for the sake of inserting a scion. S-C-I-O-N. Now I want brothers to look up this word scion. S-C-I-O-N. Right? Say for inserting a scion.
This is the Google definition. It means a young shoot or twig of a plant, especially one cut for grafting or rooting. A descendant of a notable family.
A descendant of a notable family, man.
Hey, can I read this? This for the etymology. I'm gonna get straight to the point.
Okay.
It's an heir, a descendant from the family tree image.
That's it. Yeah, family tree.
That's why you gotta look up words, man.
I got one more.
That's why you gotta look up words. So
Branch of David. It's like
Family tree.
Raise up the ruins, the branches. Come on, man. Hey, you can't get around it. You can't get around it. Read that. Both of y'all read them again. Let me start over. Let me start from here.
Strong's G 1461. Ekentrizo.
To cut into
Ekentrizo.
for the sake of inserting a scion, S-C-I-O-N.
Which is a young shoot or twig of a plant, especially one cut for grafting or rooting. Or it can mean a descendant of a notable family.
A descendant. To cut into for the sake of inserting a descendant of a notable family. Now you read yours in the etymology. It could even look clearer in there.
Meaning an heir, a descendant, is from 1814 from the family tree image. From the family tree, man.
From the family tree. So like he said, this is a family thing. You can't get involved with us. You ain't a part of this. How you go? You just pulling up like Tupac and Janet Jackson and on Poetic Justice. You just pulling up to the barbecue. Talk about give you a plate. Nah, you can't get a plate. You can't eat it. You can't eat at this table. Psalms 23 ain't talking about all nations.
Yeah, here we
He
are.
didn't prepare a table for all nations.
Yeah, we're hosting a family reunion, you know. We all got the last name, I'll say Joneses.
Or Jacob.
Yeah, Jacob. Yeah, we got the last name Jacob. And then you see a motherfucker with a shirt on that says Joneses.
Yeah.
Hey, family, what's going on? Get the fuck out of
Yeah,
here, man.
yeah.
We don't
Yeah,
know
they
you.
tell you.
You know, be asking everybody, man. I know him.
Yeah, I know them.
What's your father's name?
Yeah.
Moab. Hell nah.
You can't get
Esau.
involved.
Fuck no, man. It's a family thing, man. You don't see the family reunion at the title of this? What make you that's disrespectful, man? What make you think it just pop up, man? Come on, get your give me a plate of that lamb, man. Lamb chop, man. What the fuck are you, man?
So I'm gonna jump down and then finish it up. The brothers have something?
That's it, huh?
Okay, so I'm gonna jump down and finish it up. So I'm gonna go down to 23. It says, and they also, if they abide not still in unbelief, shall be grafted in. Even if they abide still in unbelief, they're going to be grafted in.
And that's a comforting thing, because, like, you know, Jake, when you first wake up to this truth, you find out that 2/3 of the people are going to be destroyed. You're like, dang. But then, like, you read scriptures like that, and you break it down that they're going to come back in the kingdom in a right spirit, in a righteous spirit. So they're not just going to keep on fucking up and going off and have to live a sinful life. That's comforting, man.
Yeah.
You're at ease. You're like, oh, okay, you just got to get an ass whooping.
Who was that told me that? Was that you? About somebody just came to fell out and just came, like they came to the truth and then they fell out and it was like, I'm just gonna accept the fate of being a 2/3.
Yeah.
They just like, because they know they know that they gonna come back in the kingdom. But I ain't. Don't do that shit, man.
Hey,
don't do that shit, man. I'm telling you, because the penalty is gonna be worse if you come into this truth and you fall out. Especially if that's your mindset, I can imagine how the Most High gonna heat your ass up. You know, I don't even want to look. You really talk about that too long, but
that's scary. Right there.
That's scary, man. And that's like that's tempting the Most High. I know you gonna save me. Fuck it, I'm gonna be a nigga in the world anyway.
I'm gonna come back in the kingdom anyway.
I'm gonna come back anyway.
Oh man, most time I mean you dumb ass whooping. That's like the Lord. I mean, your parent tell you, hey, don't go outside and get your ass. You go get your ass.
Then you asking why you went outside.
And here it is, your parent, the same house, in the living room.
Yeah.
You say, fuck
right
it,
out.
man. I'm gonna go outside.
Yeah. Walk right out the door while they looking at you.
Oh,
Yeah.
She gonna whoop your ass.
The Most High finna whoop 2/3, gonna get their ass whooped. Hey, and you that came into the truth and learned the truth and went back to being a 2/3, you gonna get an even worse ass whooping, man. You know? Because one thing of not believing and never coming to the knowledge of the truth, and it's a whole nother thing coming to the knowledge of the truth, especially putting your hand to the plow. All right, so
That's scary, man.
that's scary, man. That's
Okay, that
scary.
ain't a joke, man. That's scary.
Yep. It says, for Yahweh Bashem Yahushua is able to graft them in again. For if thou were cut out of the olive tree, which is wild by nature, and were graft contrary to nature into a good olive tree, how much more shall these, which be the natural branches, be grafted into their own olive tree? Verse 25, for I will not, brethren, that ye should be ignorant of this mystery, lest ye should be wise in your own conceits, that blindness in part is happened to Israel. Blindness in part has happened unto Israel.
Goes darkness.
Until the fullness of the Gentiles be come in. So there's a certain measurement of Gentiles that's going to come back into this thing.
To the Gentile be fulfilled.
To the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled. It says, and so all Israel shall be saved, as it is written. Therefore, so like it, there shall come out of Zion the deliverer, and shall turn away ungodliness from Jacob. From Jacob. For this is my covenant unto them when I shall take away their sins.
The new covenant, man. When the laws, statutes, commandments in us, when we get the new bodies, man. So the old covenant belonged to Israel, and the new covenant go belong to Israel. This is a family thing, man. And that's why we'll be one big happy family in the kingdom of heaven, man. Ephraim not gonna vest Judah. You see, Ephraim not gonna vest Issachar. You know, Judah not gonna
vest Ephraim,
man. All the tribe, blacks, Hispanics, Latinos, and Native American Indians, we gonna be good in the kingdom of heaven, man. You see, Simeon not gonna hate on Levi. You know, the Haitians and the Dominicans, they're not gonna hate each other no more, man. You see, the new covenant is beautiful, man. Through the spirit power of Yahweh Shemashah. It's a family thing, man.
Yep. And it's only to the 12 tribes scattered abroad, to the Israelites scattered abroad. That's the only nations that this thing is for, man. You know? Yep. So with that, we're gonna close out. Hey, the Lord willing, you were edified through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shemi Yahushua. We give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua Ba'ashem HaKadosh. Say double honors again to our teachers, the apostles, and elders of Great Millstone, Kwam Yasharala, Babal. Hey, rise Israel, destroy confusion, Shalom, Nabakayim. Peace to the elect.
Shalom.
Allah Yahweh Shemi Yahushua.